Harvey Hubbell, and this is Show and Tell. And who are you?
I'm Jessica McKee, the president of the International Dyslexia Association, Pennsylvania.
Perfect. Hey, do you know that? I bet you I know something you know. Do you know that October is Dyslexia Awareness Month?
We do.
Well,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Big celebration times. What are you going to be doing in Pennsylvania around October? How are you going to celebrate this?
So we typically have a lot of things going on in October. We are still planning our Dyslexia Awareness Day in Harrisburg with Decoding Dyslexia Pennsylvania. And then one event that we already have planned is also going to be in Harrisburg at Patan is our Pennsylvania Leadership Summit, which is a one-day conference for leadership teams from schools and around the state. Anybody is welcome to come, but we're looking for superintendents, principals, special education directors, special education teachers, reading specialists, curriculum leads, anybody, coaches, mentors, anybody that's kind of in a leadership role within the district. The conference is going to be all about how to bring structured literacy and improved reading practices into your building, because there's a lot of moving parts that go along with that. It's not as simple as we might think, just adopt this curriculum and off you go. So we have a lot of sessions designed to help support schools through that process.
Wow. I love this day and age. I love this day and age. I think that's great. Are other states doing that? I mean, have you talked to other IDA and decoding dyslexia groups?
I don't know. No, I haven't heard of other states that have done a leadership summit like this. Some of the schools that we know have already brought the science of reading into their buildings to come and talk about how they did it, and some of the processes that, and things that administrators will need to think about when making this change and how to plan for this for the best chance of success. And, I think one of the important things is I would hope that people would take away from an opportunity like this is that we can learn from each other. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can take what is working in other places and adapt and apply that to where we are and what we have. Even though they're not identical schools or identical buildings or populations or anything like that, you still can take pieces that have been successful and move that over and apply it to where you are and work with what you have.
I love that. That's a great idea. And how'd you guys come up with that idea? That is really brilliant.
Well, we just saw it as the next kind of logical step, right? We've been talking IDA Pennsylvania, and I think the community at large, right, has been talking for a really long time about the science of reading, right? What is it? What does it mean? All of that. But now we really need to move into how do we do this? Right? We know what we should be doing, but how do we actually take that and put it into practice? And what does that look like? And helping support the schools and their leadership teams and their teachers in making these changes. It's not always easy to make a change, and it's a lot easier to make one when you have support from someone who has been there, who knows, and can give you, some feedback, right? Some evaluated feedback, some non-biased observations of what's working and what's not, and having teachers come in and see, experienced mentor teachers come in and into a classroom and work with a younger teacher who's learning these new tools and techniques and help them improve their implementation right in the classroom. I mean, these are a lot of things that we're trying to do with this conference, and what we hope is that some of the schools will set up these communities of practice where they take this work that we started in this conference and continue that after the fact, where they're meeting and coming together and doing this amongst themselves in this community of practice and supporting each other throughout the year.
Yeah, and then they have your relationship building, so they can call up and say, hey, this is going on in my neck of the woods, and how's it going in your neck of the woods? And yeah, that's as I said, it's really brilliant. I'm glad you guys are doing that. And that's for educators.
Such as what curriculum, right?
What curriculum?
What are you using? And how does it work? And what's its strengths and what's its weaknesses? The sales reps are going to sell it. and they're going to tell you all the great attributes about it. But then when you get it into your school with your students and your population, you might find that it doesn't have everything that you need.
Do you have the
And then
reading?
what?
Do you have the reading league involved with you with the curriculum guide?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because the
Yep.
curriculum guide is key.
It is huge.
So that's a game changer, and you're promoting that. You see, it's funny when Rosette and myself and the old guard were starting out back in 155 years ago, or like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whenever. There was, the IDA. Moms got really mad, and they're like, "How come the IDA is not doing this legislation?" Well, that's not their charter to do legislation. Their charter is just like Orton and Gillingham. It's science and education. It's research and education, and that's what they do best. What happened was this evolution of these moms, and the story, and I probably tell the story too often, that decoding dyslexia moms came across the United States, and within I don't know how many years they were in all 50 states, and then they're doing exactly what you're doing with helping the schools. They were helping each other, and they were getting laws passed, and they were getting people talking about it. They were just even saying the word dyslexia 10 years ago was like a this, and it's new. It's still new to people who teachers and school superintendents and principals who have these old thoughts in their minds, and we have to what we do in the springtime. We get a broom and we sweep all the old stuff out, all the stuff in the winter, getting rid of the cobwebs, and that's kind of what's going on here now. You guys are taking it to the next level.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. When my son was first diagnosed, I actually worked for the school at the time. I was working as a behavioral aide with students at the school district where my son attended, and the school psychologist and I obviously knew each other. So when she was doing the testing, she would give me updates on what test she did and how he scored and everything. So before the testing was completed, I said, "It sounds like my son has dyslexia." And she said, "Where did you hear that?" And I said, "Well, I've been trying to research all this stuff that you're sending to me, and trying to understand all the information that you've been telling me. And it sounds like he has dyslexia." And she goes, "That's a term that's only used in college textbooks." And I was completely floored. I couldn't believe it. So so you're right. Like, it was not, we don't say it often enough. And, I think I think sometimes too, though, we get too hung up on the labels, and I think it's one of the things that confuses parents. I think it sometimes confuses educators when we talk about specific learning disability in word reading versus dyslexia, and how are they different? Are they different? I think it sometimes overcomplicates the process, that we don't use the proper labels for things.
Well, I've had school superintendents tell me that he said my parents know more than my educators do on these topics. And of course, he happens to have a dyslexic child. So what happens? There's a lot of misinformation out there, and so these parents have to go out, and they're ruled by passion. They're fueled by passion, and they got to get to the bottom of it. So they're looking into this. Whereas, I'm a psychologist, and I haven't seen that. That sounds like Obi-Wan Kenobi, like in Star Wars. I haven't heard that name since college. Dyslexia. Well, but one of the great things about this army of advocates that is out there and can be reached in any state is that they come up with all these crazy campaigns when you're at the gas station and you're pumping gas, or you're in the supermarket. Just start talking about dyslexia. Just get it out there, and so people can look, because we have a reading. I don't like. I always call things situations, but this is a reading crisis in our country, and we if we can do better, if we know better, we do better, and we got to get this message out, because we know we're failing people across this nation, and we can do better.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. And that's why we're so excited to bring this summit here into Pennsylvania this fall. Um,
What's the date?
there's a
What's the date?
it's October 4th. It'll be at Patan in Harrisburg. There's a very nominal cost. I think it's 25, possibly $35, mostly to offset cost for lunch and continuing education credits. So it's not an expensive event by any means. I think it's more than reasonable for the amount of knowledge and expertise you're going to walk away with. Um, in exchange for that time that you're given that day. Um,
Wait a minute, Jess.
we
Jess,
really,
help me understand. Help me understand. So you would just say $25, $25
Mhm.
dollars. So the school coughs up $25. Now wait a minute. Just remind me. In our last episode, weren't we talking about moms? Some moms. I'm not going to mention any names. Some moms and dads get into fights with
College for
schools.
tutoring.
Yeah, well, it's the cost of tutoring. It's the cost of driving a kid from
Hmm.
wherever and paying for the kid to go to wherever. And it seems like a pretty good investment. What do you think?
It's a huge savings compared to what it is, what you're comparing it to for parents and families. Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity for districts, and we wanted it to be affordable for districts to be able to pay and send their teams to come, because it's so valuable, and it's important that we have 500 districts here in Pennsylvania, and we want to encourage representation from all of them and as much as we can by making it as affordable as possible, um, because kids need this, all of our kids.
That is
So,
that is great, and our film doesn't teach people how to read. Our film talks about a lot of different things and gets people. Our film brings people together. I mean,
mhm.
if you watch our film, you don't know how to read at the end of our film, like whatever. But it's a magnet to bring like-minded people together under the same roof, and so I think that's why we're idealists. I don't know if you know that about us guys over here. We spent 7 years working on this film. We went off. We followed a year in the classroom, showing how hard it is, what our teachers have to do, and our message is you got to get people thinking that this is a solvable problem. There are some problems that I don't know how to solve. I mean, I don't know how to solve cancer right now. I don't know how to cool down the planet, but maybe somebody that you guys teach to read is going to figure out those problems. So what I could do to help was,
Mm.
we could make this film and get it out to as many places as possible. And we appreciate it coming out to Pennsylvania with you guys and all the hard work you guys are doing down there.
Yeah, I think one of the things people miss, and I think it's great about your film, and I think, even the title, I know it has more to do with the city that you were in than anything else, but when you can't read, you lose hope. And I saw it firsthand with my son, the change. I mean, he was little, probably 5, and telling me that he had a stupid brain. He knew he was having a hard time. When he was in his sophomore year, and we were switching him into a school that we were hoping would give him, the best chance of success, he said, "I'm too stupid to go to college." He had lost hope, struggling year after year after year in a district with teachers that didn't understand him, that would tell him he was lazy and he wasn't trying hard enough, he wasn't motivated, he just wasn't paying attention. All of those things are real and valid experiences that our students and our children have. Not every teacher says or does these things, but it happens, and it's the message they hear and receive, and you see the defeat. Like, when I look at my son before he went to school and then after he went to school, two completely different kids. My happy going, easy loving, fun, comedic kid is completely different now, having been beaten down. But that's why we're doing what we're doing. And that's why we're showing this film, because there's hope for these kids, and there's hope for the families that things are going to change and things will get better. And when you take away, when kids struggle to read, they lose that, not all, right? Not every kid, but a lot of kids lose that zest and that passion for life. And these things that you're talking about, finding the cure for cancer, that creativity, all of that dies with that struggle to read and succeed in school, right? A lot of that stuff we're tamping down in kids when we really should be building it up and fostering it and building it and helping it grow and flourish and helping them be the most successful adults that they can be. And by failing to teach them to read, we're taking that away. And that's why we're doing this movie, to give hope. And that's why we're trying to do some of the things like this Awareness Day and other things across Pennsylvania to kind of plant hope, right, in these communities, to show that there's, like you were saying, there's support out there, there's resources out there, there's people that care and are trying to make a difference and help, families and students who are struggling see that there is more than just that reading struggle and those reading difficulties.
Oh my God, you're my new best friend. You just said, I mean, I know you're talking to me, but you're really talking to parents and educators. And as a mom, you saw your boys' self-esteem, the wit, the funniness and the wit and the quickness. And the brain's a really interesting thing. And it's like how they put, jokes together and humor and good smarts, of creativity is smarts just being used in a different way. But you really said it. You witnessed this happening, and of course, the student's going to think it's me. All the other kids can read. I can't read. Well, he doesn't know which kids can read and which kids can't read, but he certainly knows Johnny and Martha and Jesus and Maria can read because they get up and read in front of the class. And when I have to read in front of the class, it's not so good. So I loved what you just said, and that is a uber important message to not just parents but to educators who, if you get somebody by third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and you're looking at this kid and he's just a troublemaker, or he's just the kid in the back of the class like me, just causing problems, you just don't know. But from what you said, as a parent who witnessed the change of the child. So when your child graduated from AIM Academy, how was he different? And what did AIM Academy teach your son?
I think the biggest thing that he walked away with from AIM was more confidence in himself and his ability. So from when we moved him there, he was, I'm too stupid, I can't do this, very defeated, very, I would probably say depressed. And now he's got more belief in himself and his ability and what he can do. He did this amazing senior project there for them as part of their graduation requirements. And he was able to do something hands-on. So he built so what AIM does there that's really cool and it's a great opportunity for all of their students is they do a senior trip every year, somewhere different. And they base all of their classwork for the year on that senior trip. So everything that they do, all of their language arts, all of their history, all of their art, all has to do with that country that they're going to and that place that they're going to be. So he built a filtration system. So they went to Belize this year. He did not want to go. He did not want to go. He refused. And I said, this is the only time I will pull the mom card on you. You are going to Belize. You need life experience. You need to see that there's more outside the classroom, right? There's more to life than what you're seeing in school walls. You need to get out there, go see. So what he did was he built a scale model of what would have been a mine filtration system. And when he presented that project, it was like a whole different person than what I had been seeing before. He was so proud of what he accomplished, and the kids there and his teachers were shocked. It worked. It filtered the water. It worked. It was amazing. But that moment brought so much pride for him. And you could see that in his face. He's going to go to a trade school after school. He doesn't want to go to four-year university. He is going to go on to school, though. And that is what a difference in having teachers who take the time, because that's another thing, not just that we're struggling in school, but the teachers, like you were mentioning before, students need teacher support the most are those ones that are in the back of the classroom, the ones that are acting out, the ones that are having the behavior problems and testing that teacher's patience the most. But they're the ones that need that kind word and that support and those check-ins and those, hey, how you doing? Um, and and that's what AIM gives too, right? No matter what you're walking in the door with, those teachers are there checking in and connecting with those students and building relationships with them. Um, and that doesn't always happen. The people that need us the most are often present as the most unlovable and most difficult individuals in our lives, and that includes teachers in their class and their students in the classroom. But those are the ones that need those kind words because they're working really, really hard.
I think that's great. I am sad to say that we have to do our last thoughts
Yeah.
now, and but I know, and you can talk about anything you want in your last thoughts, anything we haven't talked about. But I think the events that you guys
Mhm.
are doing out there, one of the things I know there are some for the parents, some for the educators, but why is it important for educators to come to these events? Why is it important for educators to come to these events that you have? And what would you tell each educator that, I mean, you've said a lot of great stuff right now, but for an educator to come and realize, oh my goodness, the kid in the back of the room is really a smart kid. I couldn't tell by the behavior, or you should try
Yeah.
harder. You try harder. Don't be lazy.
I think there's a lot. I think there's so much. I think, just like we want, like, decoding dyslexia created that community for parents, right? IDA creates that community for teachers to be able to come in and say, I don't know this, right? Or how do I do this? And to be questioning, to ask questions, to learn, to see what other people are doing. It can be intimidating to come because we are a passionate group, not just IDA, but I think literacy um, minded individuals are a very passionate group about literacy and teaching kids how to read and the importance of it. And that can be intimidating, right? If you're new and you don't know, it can be very intimidating to go into that. Um, but it's not. This is the most welcoming community I think I've ever been in, to the point of I've emailed researchers and asked them for their research and asked them if I could ask them questions. I had Marilyn Zecker, who does a lot of trainings for dyscalculia. I emailed her and asked her questions about my son's IEP one time because we were going to mediation at the school and I had questions about what they were proposing. And I asked her questions and she answered me. So it's extremely welcoming community. So for teachers and educators, if you have not come to an IDA conference or any reading league conference, any literacy conference, you really should come to the events, get your questions answered. There is an extremely welcoming group of folks here that are ready and passionate about sharing what they know.
Well, anybody who knows me knows I'm a conference junkie, and we go to conferences. Um, and I've been to the IDA conference for years and years, and I love anytime there's decoding dyslexia moms or dads out there. We love hanging with those guys, and we all feast and get together. And the Reading League and Black Literacy Matters, and we're going to Big
Mhm.
Sky. Uh, but I was at a conference, not one of the ones that I just named. It was an education conference, which I'm not going to name, and there was a bunch of leadership, and I was the only guy from my world, and they said, "You can't be dyslexic." No, if you're not dyslexic. I'm like, who goes to a place and lies about being dyslexic in the first place? But it's amazing how much people know and what they don't know, and as lifelong learners, there's just so much more we can do better. I mean, I like what you said. All right.
Mhm.
Anything else? Any last thoughts? I led you on that last one. You were great, and you were a great advocate, and Pennsylvania is lucky to have you, and your sons, your family, your daughter, your sons, everybody is lucky to have you. I think some of the schools, I'm not sure what they think if they're lucky to have you or not have you.
Well, I guess it depends on the schools, right? But yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for doing this with us and thank you for bringing the movie well, creating the movie, but then also bringing it to us in PA. We're excited to have you um, in July. So we're really excited for this event.
Thank you very much for your time today. You are awesome. This is awesome, and you're beyond awesome. You are beyond awesome.
Awesome. Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Have
Much
a great
love.
day.
Okay, bye bye. All right,
Bye.
that was great.